All right. Welcome everyone to another episode of My Blessing in Disguise 2020, a series of conversations I have with amazing guests where we reflect and talk about this whole year. We share experiences. My guests, like everyone else, I think this year have been somehow affected by the global pandemic or by the situations that came up politically or socially. And they actually found their blessings in this situation. They started something new, they pivoted maybe in their businesses, they slowed down, they reevaluated, and they're actually thriving. They're doing amazing, inspiring things. So this project is for everyone who's looking for some inspiration, for who's maybe looking for some hope for next year or moving forward, and who's looking for some ideas. So today I'm bringing an amazing guest, Colin Clews, who's a dear friend of mine and my colleague. Colin is based in Scotland, west of Scotland, um, and he is a sports and remedial massage therapist and my fellow teacher and tutor with the Western School of Massage, the biggest provider of professional massage therapy education in Scotland. So, Colin, I will hand over to you. Share with us who you are, what you're doing, and what would you like us to know about you?
Hi, Basia. Obviously, I think I'm on the wrong interview because you said amazing and my name far too often there. So, in all the interviews you've done so far, this will be the mid-season lull before it picks up again towards the end. So, as you kindly said, I'm a sports and remedial massage therapist, and I've been doing that role for a number of years now. Although I used to work in the media industry and worked in newspapers for 20 odd years before I fell into this role. And I've been very fortunate and lucky in the way that things have happened for me. I've been able to work with professional sports teams, working with international rugby teams that represent Scotland. I help clients throughout the week and whatever activities they get up to and may need some physical support, by able to treat them with various massage techniques as well as anything else that we can bring to the party. You and I have known each other for a number of years now, and we're fortunate enough to train together. And I've obviously just tried to hang on to your coattails as we've gone along, and you've dragged me up to the heady heights that we are now, where we're got the privilege of helping teach other massage therapists as they come along. I work from my own clinic here at home, which is fantastic, and that was something we did a number of years ago to create this bespoke space that works for both myself and my clients. And it's been a complete work change for me, walking away from the newspaper industry after so long. But actually, as I'm sure we'll come to, everything has changed for everyone. And this has just been a great godsend for me. So that's a little bit about me.
Cool. Yeah, I've loved seeing you on this journey where you were in full-time employment. We trained together in massage therapy, and then kind of slowly started transitioning. And I just loved seeing you taking the leap and leaving your previous job and just thriving. Like, you're just so good and so driven, and just I've been privileged to see you, and kind of at some point actually assist you as well as in a coaching capacity with this, and it's been very inspiring for me.
The assistance that you gave me and the talks that we had, even when you were starting out on your journey and becoming the amazing therapist that you are and coach that you are now, it was great for me to be at the start of that journey and to see you and to throw my tuppence worth in to help me and help you along the way.
Yeah, very sweet. You've always really believed in me and supported me. I'm always so grateful for that. Right. Okay, Colin. So this year, how has this year been for you?
It's been complete pants. It's rubbish. No, I'm only joking. It's been great. It's been unusual. I don't think
That's the word. I like that. I like
I don't
that
think
word.
anyone's going to sit back and say, "Oh, it was completely outstanding and amazing," because we've all been presented with challenges that no one's had to deal with in the past. And how I deal with those challenges, how you deal with them, how all the wonderful people you've had on your interviews so far have dealt with them, has all been unique and our own perspective on it. So, in saying that, it's been a hard year in some respects. Obviously, financially, it's not been great for a lot of people, especially those of us that have the joys of being self-employed. Um, but, I think one of the reasons you and I are actually having the conversation now is because I've kind of moved beyond some of that and realised that that is only one aspect of a whole gambit of things that move and make your year. And I've probably had one of the most productive years I've had in many years. Not financially, not work-wise, but in growing myself. I think when I look back and reflect on the year, I have to say it's been great. I really take away so many positives from 2020. Yeah, there's been a lot of crap and other things, but overall, I'm on the up for 2020.
Oh, that's amazing. It's so amazing to hear. So tell me, let's go back to March when everything started. Like how did you react? Obviously, we had to stop working as therapists. We had to stop working, and this being at this point your full-time job. How did you react? How did you feel? Did you think it's going to be like maybe a few weeks or a few months, or like what happened in your life at that point?
So back in March, I had kind of three main income streams. I was working with a professional football club in Scotland. I had my clinic here at home, and I had my tutoring commitments with Westland School. From the football side of things, it was quite clear that things were going to stop fairly quickly, and we could see that the way things were, especially in Italy, there was a few Italian players, and I was working closely with them, and I was getting the feedback from them of what was going on in Italy. And even at that point, we were still thinking, "Oh, it's a bit of a flu. It'll last a couple of weeks." Before the momentum started to build, and then I had a really good start to the year, and financially, I couldn't have been happier with the way things were. And then 19th of March really was the last day that I did any form of work that paid me for quite a while. So it was a complete sudden stop. There was no easing into it. It wasn't as if, oh, I'm going to take 6 months off and I can start to wind down. It was a case of, that's it. You're not allowed to work. You're not allowed to treat people. You're not allowed to help clients. Sit back and we'll see how things go. And there was no guidance into how long this was going to be. And that was perhaps the most daunting aspect of having a sudden stop to things. And then I tried to adapt from there. But that's how I was up until that point. I said, really happy, great financial years and previous years, but everything just stopped on the 19th of March for me.
Yeah, yeah, I can imagine, because I know, how it was for me. It was kind of similar. And, actually, funnily enough, it was also my best year financially. I mean, this was, my third year, ending my third year of being self-employed therapist and going into the fourth year. And
Right.
like this year started so well for me, like it was, compared to other years, like financially, it was outstanding, and obviously at that point I already had some coaching clients, but I'm just talking about the therapy side of the business. It was amazing, and I was so happy. And then suddenly, you know, everything stopped. So I understand like how you must have been frustrated, right? And plus it was like you didn't have another business, another job to kind of fall back on. Okay, so what did you do? How did you stay positive, or how, like, what did you do to like cope with this uncertainty, or, you know, how did your life what did your life look like, you know, from that 19th of March?
A few years ago, I was, and I've always been a fairly keen runner, and I've done various marathons and things along the way, and have had fantastic massage treatment from yourself, and you've got me to the start line of many events. When I did London Marathon back in 2016, 17, when that finished, I did okay and it was fine, but I really lost my running mojo and didn't want to do anything. And, you know, probably with the stresses of what I was doing work-wise at that point, and everything else. And although I was able to complete a marathon, I wouldn't say I was particularly fit. And probably between 16, 17, I stopped exercising, put on a bit of weight, and probably wasn't in a great place by the time we got to about kind of August of 2019. However, I made a decision to start losing a bit of weight. The idea was if I lost a bit of weight, then I would start exercising again. And that's what I was trying to do by the time we got to the start of 2020. I had lost a decent amount of weight by that point, but really was just trying to find my running mojo again. Now, in the Glasgow, or certainly in the Scottish running community, but it's based in Glasgow, there's an event that's carried out each December called Markathon, which is a challenge to run 5K or 25 minutes every day in December. And obviously, December is a busy month. It is a challenge. And even if you're a regular runner, to run every day poses its own issues and challenges. But I did it a couple of years ago, and it was good. So 19th of March, I'm sitting there going, well, I've got all this time on my hands. What am I going to do with myself? And I thought, well, in the past, I've managed to run consecutively for 31 days. I wonder if 32 days is possible. And pulled on my trainers and went out for a run, and remembered a 5K route round about the house. And it was god awful, and I was huffing and puffing, and people were stopping at the side of the road to offer me CPR and lifts home. No, it wasn't quite that bad, but I did it, and I thought, right, okay, I don't know I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with my time, because I can't do anything. I can't get out. I can't go and see friends. The only thing that we were advised that we were able to do by the government was, one, stay at home and protect your family, and have half an hour's worth of exercise every day. And I thought, oh, well, with my half hour's exercise, I'll go out for my run. And that was my target. It was literally just to go out every day and have a half-hour run and see where that would take me, with the idea of reaching 32 days. As the time went on, the running gets slightly easier. It's never easy, but it gets slightly easier, especially when you're a guy like me and you've got to drag this body around with you. But it did get slightly easier. And I remember on one of the runs, and I haven't actually said this to you, but I remember one of the discussions that you and I had way back about having subjective goals and specific goals, and how goal setting to some degree actually gives you some focus. So for me, I set myself a specific goal of reaching 32 days running every day, and that was going to be my challenge. I log all my runs on an app called Strava, which again lots of people use for bike rides and runs and swimming and all sorts of things. So I started on that day and I called it Coronathon. And each day I would put up my Coronathon run, and various people started to like it and comment on it. And I have to say, it kind of grew arms and legs a little bit. I got to 32 days and thought, well, 50 days was a much nicer, rounder number. So got to 50 days. And, so 50 days, we were then coming into May. Weather was nice. It was lovely to get out and about. And it was becoming more of a habit getting out to run after 50 days. Got to, I think, about 80 days, which was into June, and I picked up a running challenge. In Scotland, there's a walk you can do between Glasgow and Fort William called the West Highland Way. It's 96 miles through some fantastic scenery. Each year there's a race that people take part in, runners far better than me, and I don't think I would ever be able to do the real thing, but they decided because they had to make it a virtual event this year. So I had gone out in the morning in June and did 9 or 10 miles. Obviously my 5Ks had stretched out a little bit by that point. And one of my friends just said, oh, why don't you do this? So I signed up to do the virtual West Highland Way race. So I had to do 95 miles in 9 days. So that was a good, hard challenge because I was doing 10 miles a day for 9 days as opposed to 3.1 miles. So pushed myself through with that. That was really hard, but really enjoyed it. I was doing things that I'd never done before in my running life, where I was going out and running twice in a day, go 9 miles in the morning and then 4 miles in the afternoon. And the family were actually beginning to realise just how obsessive I was becoming about my running. But it was good, and they've been supportive. And then I've just kept going, to be honest. I just.
Where did you stop? On which day did you stop?
What day is today?
Are you still doing consecutive days? Like you never stopped?
I think today is day 273.
Wow, Colin, you're crazy. But I'm saying that with, lovingly and with a little bit of jealousy as well, because I've never run for 10 days consecutively. So that's
on Sunday, I'll hit 4,000 kilometres that I've ran this year.
Wow.
Which is not a bad little average, I suppose.
Yeah.
What's that? 2,500 miles, 4,000 kilometres, something like that.
Wow. So I'm guessing it just became completely natural habit for you. It wasn't like you're like, I have to do it. It was just like you probably by now you love doing it, right? Like you couldn't do without it.
Going back to my day job and to yours to some degree is, I deal a lot with runners. I got a lot of runners coming in here, and the advice I would give someone is not to run every day. It's probably not the best thing you can do with your body. But my response to that was certainly between April, May, June, July, I had nothing else physically to do with my time other than develop quite a nice suntan, let the kids play about with the colour in my hair. There was nothing else for me to do than to go out and go for a run. So yes, it's probably not the most best way that you would say to someone to train, but because I wasn't doing much for the rest of the day, it has been more of a challenge now that I have got back to work, and you're trying to fit, going for a run in roundabout, working, and then there was a few weeks, obviously, recently where my daughter and I think are now we've had 3 lots of self-isolation where we've not been allowed out, but I've still maintained my running. and I've actually just ran round the garden. Didn't go out of the house, just ran round the garden, ran round the decking, of which you can get 16 paces before you have to turn in any one direction. So the longest I could actually go was 16 and turn and come back. And half the battle was not getting dizzy, I suppose. So
I was just thinking that.
but again, it's been my thing to help me deal with everything else that's going on in the world. The one constant I've been able to hold on to for the last 270 odd days is the fact that I can go out and I can exercise and I can have a bit of Colin time. I can clear my head. I can think about everything else that's going on. But I say Colin time, but actually I'm a very sociable runner. I love nothing more than actually when I am allowed and restrictions allow to run with friends, and that's so much more fun than going out and pounding the streets yourself for a couple of hours, as has been known. So it's been my focus for me to go through and help clear my mind. But I keep saying to myself, well, I got to 100 days. Yeah, that's let's just carry on, because it's more of a habit. We got to 200 days, right? Okay, probably about enough now. Maybe I should probably stop. 250 days, well, that's just a rubbish number, because you're nearly there. And I'm now, must be 90 days or 89 days to go until it's the full year. And that doesn't sound that bad.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing with myself.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. And you also started swimming, open water swimming, right?
Yes, I have. Did a bit of swimming in previous years, and had done some swimming and some triathlons that I'd done back in the past. But open water swimming has really taken off in Scotland this year, because we haven't had access to swimming pools. And we live in a most fantastically beautiful, picturesque country, which also happens to be quite wet, which is quite handy if you're going to store the water in big lochs. So even we're in the central belt of Scotland, and near the city centre of Glasgow and Paisley and whatever, but you only have to go 10 minutes and you can easily find these lochs and reservoirs to swim in. And it's fantastic. It's the most freeing, energizing feeling, going swimming. And I've just been amazed by the amount of people. I always say that when you put a picture up on social media, you've been swimming, you'll have 10 people comment on it. 7 of them will say, "Oh, that's brilliant. I'd love to try that. Can you let me know when you're going next?" And I have taken so many people along swimming with me this year. There'll be 2 people that will say, "Are you mad? It's bloody freezing. What are you doing there?" There's always one. Yeah. And there's always one person, always one that says, "Oh, you shouldn't go in there. I know somebody that drowned."
Yeah,
I
find it
very safe, and it's I've never swim myself. I always have a couple of really good swim buddies that I'm with, and we keep an eye on each other. And you're swimming outdoors, and it's just fabulous. It's sitting in the middle of a Scottish loch when the sun is shining, and it's great. Less so at this time of year when it's a wee bit cold, has to be said.
just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit.
That's so amazing. And I love what you said. You said it really kept you focused, and I think you said something like it kept you sane, or
Absolutely. It kept me sane because it was my anchor. It was the one thing that I was able to do, and I was able to control. When everything was out of my control, I couldn't work, I couldn't have an income. How are you going to provide for your family? How are your family dealing with things? How are you dealing with things, and what's happening all over the world, and the way that we're dealing with a global pandemic, for goodness sake. But the one thing I could control was me pulling on my trainers and getting outside, and having that amount of time for myself, and then you would come home and you would have to deal with everything else. But you had that anchor.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah. I recently we had a conversation over the phone, and after kind of a while not talking, and you said something to me that actually, surprised me. Not surprised me, but it was something new that I've heard from you. I asked you,
Okay.
so how you're doing? You were, I think at that point, you were maybe again self-isolating. Through the track and trace, it wasn't even like you were not even unwell, you didn't have COVID, no one close to you even had COVID, but you
Yeah.
had to self-isolate because you were apparently in contact with someone. So anyway, you said to me, what can you do? It is what it is. And I don't know, it was something new to me to hear that you were just so accepting on everything. And you were just saying like, oh, I'll just slow down and I'll just spend this time with family. It was changed, like from what I
Yeah.
knew, how you used to be to how you are. And I think it's like, if not everything that happened, you wouldn't have got to this point to be so like cool with everything. Do you want to speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. And it was just you and I having a chat on the phone. I think that was probably my second lot of isolation, where I'd had a call, completely random, couldn't identify anyone I'd been in contact with that had COVID. I was frustrated initially because it was me having to suspend my business again. But you just have to let it go, really. And I'm not a big fan of Frozen, but I can see where that's coming from. But there was no point in me getting stressed. Yeah, yes, it would be nice to work. Yes, it would be nice to have that financial security. But at the end of the day, I had something better than that. I had some time that I was able to reflect on my own life existence. And it's not deep and philosophical in any way. And I wasn't staring at my navel for hours at end. But it was that ability and almost being allowed to let things go and put it out there for the universe just to deal with it, because there was no point in trying to fight it, because there was nothing I could do to make things any better or worse than they were. The circumstances had laid themselves up until that point, and it wasn't just that 2 weeks of self-isolation. It had built over 4 or 5 months of lockdown and not being able to work and not being able to control any form of destiny. And going back to when I was working, not even in this environment, when I was working in I guess in the corporate world, where you're always driven, you're always trying to find the next thing that is going to help the company, the organization you're working for. There's the financial rewards getting involved with that. But at the end of the day, I was able to carry on and live and still be the father and husband and whatever that I was, without having any constraints by working and for someone. Yes, we all have bills to pay and we all have commitments, but actually, if you just let it go a bit more, and just think, well, there's nothing I can do or say that is going to affect me. The universe will sort itself out and hopefully will sort me out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not being completely woolly about this, and the challenges still are very real. And, but at the end of the day, what's the point in worrying about it? Let's get through it, and hopefully, by giving me this opportunity to reflect and see what's more important and reevaluate what things are important, then that's been more important than working. So I don't know if I waffled on an awful bit there, but yeah, hopefully you got the idea of what I was meaning.
Yeah, no, that's really beautiful. It's great that you kind of had some time for reflection. And I think it's so easy to, like, when You know what I've noticed this year? Like I had many conversations with people this year, like through like my coaching clients, but also like connecting with new people and just chatting about what's going on. And there are some people who really struggled at this time, like, you know, this year, because that was like literally the first time in their life they actually were forced to stop and they had nothing else to do. And, you know, we are sometimes, like, so many of us are so busy always thinking and doing things and keeping ourselves occupied, and we never have time to really face ourselves and face our thoughts, or like we tend to think, but like very often it's all in the background and it's very automatic, habitual. But like we actually had to stop and look at ourselves and deal with the thoughts, you know. And many people dealt with the fear. Obviously, it's you know, it's kind of to be expected in this kind of situation. And I think it made things you know, quite difficult for some people. So it's so great to hear that you were able to actually stop, reflect, and find something great in it, you know, something, you know, even though you didn't have control. And you are like, from knowing you, you like to control.
I do.
You like to have a control, like we most of us do, right?
Yes, but I think it's when you realise that you don't have that control that it can be perhaps scary to realise that you're not in control. But for me, it was also a chance to say, well, okay, I don't have the control, so worrying about it is not going to bring it back. You just have to embrace what, not even what control you still have, but it's just in case of embracing the lack of control, and just be willing to perhaps chill. Like you say, you know, that time that people have had that has been completely new to so many of us, where we don't have a structure to our day, you know. There was no reason to get up. There was no reason to not start drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning. Did I say it? My mixology skills had improved somewhat significantly, and my cocktail making is quite something to behold. Obviously, I haven't been able to do that with my running. But, you know, it is that lack of control that I think you either learn to deal and accept it and move on, or you know, for me, that's been one of the kind of overriding factors of the year.
Yeah, that's really powerful. And I was going to actually ask you about what you've learned this year, but you kind of answered that question. But if there's anything you would like to add to, like, what were your main kind of learnings this year? Any insights, or, you know, something new you've seen that you haven't seen before?
Learnings would be to go easy on the tequila when you're making margaritas, because they kill in the morning.
Especially after, if you go for a run after that, right?
Yeah. And we're not even touching on you and I's other passion, which is single malt whiskies. So, what I've taken away is that you can achieve so much more than you thought. If you and I had been having a conversation at the beginning of March, and you'd said to me, so how do you fancy running 4,000 kilometres this year, Colin? My car hasn't done 4,000 kilometres this year, let alone the 4 pairs of trainers that I've worn out since March. You know, and it is literally that. My car hasn't done much in the way of mileage. I probably physically have run more than it has, and that's saying something for me. When I was actually out in the big bad world before I worked for myself, I was easily doing 40, 50,000 miles driving all over the country and seeing clients and speaking to people, you know, across the year. So that's quite something for me. But I guess the biggest takeaway is being able to embrace the unknown and roll with it.
That's really beautiful insight. And to be fair, actually, once the lockdown has been relaxed and you are able to get back to work, you have done really well. And I wonder if it actually had something to do with the like having this quiet time? Like, have you changed anything in your business? I mean, of course, apart from the fact that you couldn't go out there and treat the professional football team, but have you done anything differently in your business that allowed you to be quite successful, you know, after you reopened?
Yeah, no, I have been very successful in the business in the weeks that I am allowed to treat, which seems as if it's been few since August. Everything works really well. But I guess one of the things that I would say from that is I'm not that concerned by the numbers, or certainly not concerned with the numbers in the way that I was. You know, it's almost like the whole field of dreams. If you open it, they will come. And when I'm open, clients will come. But because I've had 6 months, 7 months where I've not been able to operate this year, and I've still survived, and we're still here, and everyone's still healthy, then I don't need to chase that number each week or each month, because I know I can survive when there isn't any clients coming through the door. So if I have, you know, a really good week and I'm really busy, then that's brilliant and that's good. But, you know, you sit on a Monday and you think, okay, I've got this amount of clients this week. Well, let's just see how it goes. And it always works itself out. You know, there's never a week when I'm thinking, oh, I wish I had done more this week, because if I had done more, then I'm probably not doing something else that I love. I'm not getting to go for a swim first thing in the morning and be in a Scottish loch at 7 o'clock and see the sunrise, or I'm not being able to go out and do a 10-mile run on a Friday morning and get soaked and feel miserable when I come home, because and it's those
you actually love it. You actually love it.
choices that I'm able to make now going forward, and that's what the difference has been with the business.
That's really beautiful what you said, that, you know, even when it's quieter, you always have something else that is nice to do, and so like you're not losing anything. But no, also what I wanted to say,
just gaining all the time.
You know, there's one thing that you said that made me think, and I think it's like not just for our work, it can be for my work as a coach as well. You know, when you come to the business with this energy of, you know, being grateful for what's there but not needing more people, and having this trust that, you know, they will come because you're good, and you know that you're giving them, like you're serving them well, like you're giving them all you've got. There is a different energy to it, and people are attracted to it. So people want to come back, people want to refer people to you. And there's like this, if I was to summarize it in one line, it's like needy is creepy. And if you need clients, it repels clients. And if you don't need them, you serve them from a better place, and, you know, your service is better, and people just want more of it. This is what I've noticed in my work, especially in the coaching work. But I think it's probably with everything.
The last client that I just treated, who is a student, and she was saying to me, you know, how many clients do you see in a week, or do you need to see in a week? And I went, doesn't matter. You know, we all have baselines and things that we want to meet and things like that. But starting out with actually a perceived number is probably the wrong way of going about it. Now, if you'd asked me that last year, I would have a different answer, and it would have been black and white, and I need this and I need that, and what I need is to be happy. And I'm far happier with the level of business I have, because it enables me to do so much more. And that's what it's all about. It's not about working 40 hours a week and going in and sitting in an office and being bored or whatever. It's about using the time that I have. And if the time I have means that I'm not physically working with a client, then that time is getting used for other more productive things, whether it's running, swimming, it's taking my daughter to school, it's picking people up, it's doing all that. And that's what really counts. Oh, all right.
Wow, Colin, that was so beautiful what you said, that actually it's all about being happy. And
Absolutely.
oh, it's so interesting how we chase this like next thing, and we chase success and money and number of clients, and we're so often just miss this one bit, that like, why
Yeah.
do we even do it? Like we usually do it because we want to feel happy, like we want to feel better. We think like once we achieve all these things we will feel happy, but why not feeling happy first, and actually everything else will come from that? Because when you
Hmm.
feel happy, you just do things better, and people want to be around you, and people want to buy from you, and
Yes. And,
oh,
and
that's
I
beautiful.
think you phrased it really well there with that whole energy about not being creepy, and so surround yourself with the positivity, and it will come.
That's
I'm going
really
to build a baseball field in my garden next.
Oh, Colin, thank you so much for sharing all of this. I was going to add, like, my last question would be actually two questions.
Okay.
One of them was going to be, what would be your like one piece of advice or wisdom you would like to give to people who are watching? But you also said already this thing that I think is like one of the most powerful things you said in this interview. But is there anything else that you would like to share as an advice or piece of wisdom with people who are watching?
Oh, if a fat old bloke like me can go out and run every day for 273 days, then all you lovely people certainly can do it, and probably much more attractively than I ever could.
Oh my God. Your sense of humor, Colin, love it, love it. And last question, what are you looking forward to for 2020? What are you going to kind of continue, or what's maybe a new thing that you're looking to create this year, in the next
Next
year?
year. Um, I think I'm going to continue the running. I'm going to continue up until we've done 1 year, and that would be something to behold, I think, just as a target. Um, I've got a few events lined up in terms of athletic events. I'm going to take part in my first duathlon. Um, I promised my wife that I wouldn't do any more marathons after I did number 10 in London. However, I didn't actually say I wouldn't do an ultra marathon.
I was thinking about it. I
And
was
it's all
thinking about
about
it.
nuances of what you'll say and what you'll do. So I'm not going to run 26.2 miles again. However, I may run 50 kilometers again. So at the moment, that's kind of something I'm hoping to maybe do and train for, is to do an ultra marathon.
Wow.
Um, I think I've got I'm getting kind of fit now, so I may as well use it to some benefit, and it would be nice. And ultra marathons are an interesting thing because people have a concept of how long it takes to run a 10K, a half marathon, a marathon. But actually, when it comes to ultras, because they're all various distances and different things, you could say I did an ultra marathon in 10 hours and everyone would be, wow, that was really good. And nobody really knows. So I like that aspect of it. Also, I like the aspect of those people that I've known that have done ultra marathons where you say you start really slowly and slow down from there. And I'm built to run like that. That's my ideal, is slowing down. So that's going to be my focus, I think, in terms of athletics for 21. The business, I just happy to see where the business goes. I have some ideas of what I'd like to do with it, whether that's growth or it's just stability. Then we'll see.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, good luck with that. I really look forward to hearing about the ultra marathon. And
Just
lastly,
don't tell Orla.
I won't tell her. If people want to find you and come for a treatment, if someone is in the west of Scotland, how can they find you on social media, or do you have a website?
I'm all across all social media like a nasty rash. I'm on Facebook, which is just myself at Colin Clews. The business is CJC Sports Massage. It's CJ Sports Massage on Instagram, on Twitter. You can find my phone number in any public phone boxes, because that's normally where my cards are put. I'm only joking. Or you can just contact me via yourself. The website is cjcsportsmassage.com.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Colin, thank you so much for joining me today, for spending time with me, sharing everything.
Thank you.
So inspiring and always amazing to chat with you. Good luck this year. For the rest of the year and for next year as well, 2021. Have a beautiful Christmas as well, and New Year.
You have a fantastic time. Look forward to getting that break away with your in-laws in a most stunning part of the world. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. You'll have an amazing 2021, because you're an amazing and inspiring person, Basia.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's watching. If you are inspired to share a story, get in touch with me via a direct message. If you have if you have any questions or any insights or thoughts you would like to share, feel free to share them in the comments below. And if you would like to share your story via post, I encourage you to do a Facebook Live and share it, or just through a written post with the hashtag #MyBlessingInDisguise2020. All right, everyone, have a nice day, have a nice evening, morning, wherever you are and whatever time you're watching. And I'll see you in the next episode. Mwah, loads of love. Bye.